My name's Steven, but most of them know me by Bell. Why Bell, you ask? It's because the last sound you'll hear is the ringing in your ears from the sound of my gun before the bullet hits your head. I am a CIA operative, and my duty is to stop the oncoming forces that sit at our doorstep, sit at our borders, and want to cause trouble in the American. Hey! What, me? Get your ass in here! What the f*** you doing? Aw, come on, man, this is bogus. I don't care. Get your ass in here. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm your host Steven. This is another episode of On the Shelf, and today we are talking about Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Say that 5 times fast. I know I'm a bit late. I'm not going to bore you with the excuses. This is actually going to be one of the last videos. Actually, there's one more that'll probably come after this, and it should wrap up my 2020 videos, and I should be wrapping up with the top 5 most hated games and the top 10 most loved games of 2020. I'm excited to get you those guys' lists, and so that way I can get started on 2021. Enough with the formalities. Let's get right into the review, and let's talk about Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And asking the question is, if it's actually Treyarch returning to form. Now, as a little insight, this is the 17th Call of Duty game to have been graced upon us with its presence. I didn't get into Call of Duty until Modern Warfare 2. I missed Modern Warfare, and I missed all the earlier games as I didn't have an Xbox or an Xbox 360 until late 2009. So right around the time when Modern Warfare 2 dropped, give or take. And I didn't even get to play multiplayer really until like 6 to 8 months later after that. I did wind up getting, my own 360 obviously, and, and playing it, and I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with the story overall. And Call of Duty kept getting better and better with each release, with its story, its multiplayer. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is actually pretty underrated. I didn't like Black Ops as much multiplayer-wise, but story-wise, it was phenomenal. And, of course, Black Ops 2 is my favorite Black Ops game. Now, there have been 5 Black Ops games. This one being, of course, the latest one. Now, Black Ops 3 kind of tried to go on its own path. It tried to do its own new thing. It tried to keep the Black Ops, twists and turns, but it just didn't hit the same chords with me. There were some really great levels, but the characters just weren't as memorable as Mason and Woods. Let's just be real here. And then, of course, Black Ops 4 didn't have a story campaign. It was a big knack on it, a big flaw on it. I actually reviewed Black Ops 4. I sadly did not get to... Sadly, I did not get to go ahead and review Modern Warfare. I was going to do it before this review, but obviously life got in the way, and this review is already coming late as it is, so having one for Modern Warfare would have only taken longer. Maybe I'll do a separate review later on at some point. It might be written, it might not be a video, but I might do something, who knows. But let's talk about this game and focus up on this game in particular. So with this game, we actually have a bit of a return to form with the story. Obviously, we not only get a campaign again, but we get one with Woods and Mason, memorable faces. Now, I actually genuinely liked the fact that Treyarch went ahead and decided to do more of a continuation, like a prequel, sequel, Borderlands kind of thing, where it decided to do a story in between its two-story franchise games with Black Ops and Black Ops 2. Now, Black Ops, like I said, the story was phenomenal. I loved it. The multiplayer didn't stick with me as much as there was just so much REXD spam, and there was just so much other stuff that I didn't care for, a good chunk of the maps, and there was just a lot of issues that I had overall with Black Ops. It just didn't hook me, right? But Black Ops 2, on the other hand, it just did. There was just so much more variety, and there was just so many, the maps, there were so many other really good maps. There were even, like, added on maps, with the map packs that were just so good and memorable. And it was just overall a phenomenal experience. Even zombies. I played more zombies in that game than any of the other games combined. All the other games combined. And that's saying something, because as much as I do genuinely like zombies, most of the time I've played zombies, I've gotten burnt out on it. As I've had some hardcore friends who are diehards and they want to do everything just right and to get as many, to get up as high up as they can and do as many levels as they can and how many rounds that they can and ways that they can. To me, it just eventually got boring and I hated it and burnt me out on it. So Black Ops 2 is still considered to me one of the best games Call of Duty's ever put out. It's still the gold standard for Call of Duty games. It had a story that had multiple endings, multiple choices, different weaving paths, great multiplayer, and a really good, zombies mode as it continued to breathe the story and to really give it life. Now, it's always had a bit of a story. It's always had really deep lore with the zombies, but Black Ops 2 is where they really started to hone in on it and really, really craft something special. And with that being said, it's just, to me, the overall greatest game that they've created. Modern Warfare last year, and like I said, I'll maybe do a review separately for that, but Modern Warfare last year was starting to hit some good key notes, but some things kind of took of a bit of a step back because, like, the rebooting of the characters and the, trying to retell certain tales, because I just didn't feel like they did as good of a job with it as they did the original, or compared to the original. It just didn't quite, it went a little more hollow with me, right? But this is its own original story, but like I said, set in between the two games, which is smart. There's, 4 or 5 years in between the two of them to be able to tell some cool stories, unique stories. But what really stands out with this game, and its single player, is that you don't just get to play as Mason as you have in the past. You get to play as your own character, a character that you create your own past, your own little dossier for. You get to put your name in there and everything. You'll still use your code name, but it's kind of cool to sit there and kind of fill out your own details and create your own character. I want more depth and ability to do this going forward. I mean, now that I've gotten it, I don't want to go back. Very much like with Black Ops 2, how I didn't want to go back, not have multiple endings and multiple choices and branching storylines, and yet they yanked it away from us and we never got it again until this game, 8 years later? I don't want to go back to that, but I feel like I don't know if we'll ever get it again. But I'm hoping maybe somebody at Treyarch or somebody at Activision, somebody sees this. For the love of God, please don't ever go back. But I like the twists, I like the turns, and honestly, I like being able to see Frank and Mason again, and some of the other characters. I won't say lovable, because let's be real, they're not, and they know it. But it was nice to see the familiar faces and to kind of see their stories continue, or at least, like I said, see what happened in between Black Ops 1 and 2. And I feel like there's still enough of a wiggle room where they could maybe even create another game in between there. I'd rather them not push it too hard. I think it would be interesting, and I'd be down for it, but I honestly, I do want to see some more adventures with Woods and Mason. I really enjoyed this one. It made me it reminded me how much I loved Black Ops. I even went out and got the original Black Ops 1 and 2 here not that long ago in anticipation for Cold War, being excited that I get to see these characters again. This is what makes Black Ops great, is these great characters. And I'm not saying that Call of Duty Black Ops can't, create new characters, but if you're going to create new characters, you have to have them. I'm just saying that if you're going to create them, you have to have them as entertaining as Woods and Mason, as memorable as, Woods and Mason. And that's hard, but I think you guys can do it. I do. But getting back on track, I like the fact that you're able to create your own character and kind of implement yourself into the story. I thought that was really cool. And like I said, I want to see it be evolved. I don't know if we will get to see it, but I'd like to see it continue being evolved. Now, obviously, another thing that I did just touch on just a minute ago was that there are multiple endings. There's multiple endings, there's multiple branching stories, and honestly, it's great to see you back in a Call of Duty game there. And I love that it's Treyarch that does it, because Treyarch does it pretty well. Now, I'd like to see them continue evolving it. I'd like to see them continue getting better at it and sharpening their craft. I don't really want them to get away from it, although I understand, though, too, it's hard to do. I'm not going to pretend like it's not an easy thing to do. However, it almost feels like the right thing to do. as, it really is that choice of, do I want to do what's right, or do I want to do what I feel is right, right? Like the moral conundrum of like, I know these people are fucking me over, so should I do the right thing or should I give them the middle finger, right? And that's really where Black Ops succeeds, because Mason and Woods, they're not the cleanest of characters. They are gritty intentionally. They do some fucked up shit in the name of trying to preserve peace, right? And that's where, I think some people get it wrong. A lot of, there are some Call of Duty games that go out of their way to try and promote, colonialism and militarism and all the other shit that, our military stands for today. I feel like Black Ops kind of pulls that back a little bit, shows us the humanity underneath, but also that, yeah, we recognize that some of the shit that we do is really messed up. And makes you have to think about, like, do I really want to do this? And especially with multiple choices, multiple endings, I feel like that gives you a little bit more of that, right? It makes it really feel a lot heavier. It's one of those things where Black Ops has always done a great job of being, like, just below Spec Ops The Line when it comes to dealing with that morality choices. And, I mean, I wish they'd just kind of crank it up just a little bit and push it just a little bit further and really push it to be closer to Spec Ops The Line. But I feel like it's the closest that Call of Duty will ever get is with the Black Ops series when it's right. And with this one, I think they got it right. Campaign overall is a solid length. I'd say it's about 6 to 8 hours on the harder difficulties. It also depends on, too, if you want to collect all the evidence and complete all the investigations so that way you can affect your ending in a different way. And you'll also have certain, not only just achievements, but also certain rewards and certain things for doing things that you're supposed to or not supposed to in the missions. And it makes it where the campaign, even though it might not be super duper long, has a ton of replayability. And that's super important. That's what made Black Ops 2 so damn good. Black Ops 2, I think, was a smidge longer, but it still had that replayability element where there was like 4 or 5 different endings to the game, where depending on your choices, depending on what you did, depending on what you found, affected your ending. It would be just random stuff that if you could walk right past it and it'd completely affect your ending, and that's what made it so goddamn brilliant. And in this game, it's pretty similar. Now, I don't think there are as many endings. There's really just 2 endings, but there's some variations to those endings, right? And so it's not as in-depth, but I also recognize, too, that Black Ops Cold War is a game that only had, like, what, a year and a half of development, and that's it? I mean, it's usually got a 2 to 2.5 year cycle, and it had far less than that. And honestly, kudos needs to be given to, Raven Software and Treyarch and all the other studios, too, that are listed. There's like 3 or 4 of them that are listed that helped bring this thing together to make it at least not just playable, but really good. I mean, a lot of the focus, you can tell, was done in the single player, as they wanted to make sure it was as polished and as fleshed out as they possibly could make it, and as, with the little time that they had. But that does lead us into the other elements, right? Multiplayer. What is multiplayer like? If you liked Black Ops 4, I feel like you'll like the multiplayer. It's a little bit more slower than Infinity Ward with Modern Warfare. I mean, I enjoyed Modern Warfare from time to time, but there was a lot of times I felt like I was beating my head against the wall, running around with my head cut off. I hate it. It makes it where it reminded me of all the things that I disliked about Call of Duty's multiplayer. And I know that there are going to be some diehards that'll tell me to kick fucking rocks, and that's fine, but there's a reason why I liked, the slower. It wasn't so much slower, but it definitely was slower than it is now, with, like, the original Modern Warfare 2 and eventually even Black Ops, 2 is, they were always faster-paced games than compared to, like, Battlefield. But they were never quite as fast as the rebooted Modern Warfare of 2019. And so because of that, I just found myself more frustrated than anything. But with this game, I feel like I have more of a fighting chance. I feel like, the map design's better too. That's also something that, I'd like to talk about in Modern Warfare, but a big key flaw in that game is the fucking map design sucks. Because it has different things that they've added, elements of tactical and stuff like that are great, but they're fucking worthless when the maps are fucking 4x4 squares. Okay? And I'm not here to completely bitch about that, but I feel like Black Ops And that's where I feel like I disagree with a lot of people, is the fact that I think the map design overall, now there's a couple of maps that aren't very good. Miami is fucking one of them, with those long-ass lanes, those long-ass sniper lanes. Fucking awful. I hate it. I mean, it's an interesting idea, and I mean, I like the look of the map, but I hate the play of the map. And I think a lot of people agree with me on that. But overall, a lot more of the maps in the game are far better than the maps that were in Modern Warfare. And it's funny because if I could get Treyarch's map design with those tactical, elements that were added, like the wall mounting and the hand signals and all the other bullshit that they added into the game for Modern Warfare, but get the map design that I got from Black Ops Cold War, I'd probably have the near perfect fucking, Call of Duty game. But alas, here we are. A lot of the things that, were introduced in Modern Warfare, obviously were not carried over to Black Ops, considering the fact that A, there was a shorter cycle, and B, it's a completely different studio. They're going to do different things, right? Some of the elements that they added in, they work. They're not bad. I don't hate them at all. But obviously, yeah, some of the stuff that they added in with Modern Warfare, it's missing here. And it sucks because, like I said, the game is actually set up more like to use those things than Modern Warfare was, right? And Modern Warfare eventually started to kind of get better with its map design to allow you to utilize these things. The original, maps that were released with the game, and I would even say some of the subsequent ones that came after with, Season 1 and 2, just didn't. And that's the biggest reason of why I hated the game, is like, why even introduce these things, these tactical elements, these things into the game and not really give you an opportunity to utilize them. But that, like I said, is one thing that I can grant Black Ops Cold War over its predecessor, is the fact that, like I said, the map design is infinitely better. And it means that, for me, and I'm hoping, I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood, but that eventually the maps are going to continue getting better with each season. I'm not going to lie, when it first launched, there was 8 maps, which is kind of garbage, I'm not going to lie. Now granted, I also get it, once again, there was a much shorter cycle. So, and that's what hurt them the most. And it's on Activision. Activision easily could have either said, fuck it, we're not going to go ahead and release a Call of Duty this year, or could have went ahead and did something different entirely. But instead, they just really pushed forward, full steam ahead, and it kind of screwed these guys a little bit, as you could tell that there was a few things that are a little bit off, with the game when it released. I think they'll get cleaned up as time goes on, and I think it'll be a much better game by the same time that, by this time, next year, as it ends its life cycle and the next Call of Duty takes on its life cycle. But I genuinely like a lot of things that they did do and that they try to do. And like I said, I like the slower pace. It's not as slow as Call of Duty Black Ops 4, but it's not as fast as Modern Warfare. It's a nice little balance to me. One clip can kill a couple, 2-3 guys, as to where Black Ops 4 felt like you needed an entire clip to kill somebody. And in Modern Warfare, it felt like you needed 2 shots and you were dead. I will say this, though, and this goes for every Call of Duty game over the last several years. Probably, actually, as far as I can think back to. And that's that when you're shooting, it feels like you're shooting a fucking laser gun. I am sick and tired of I'm sick and tired of fucking laser guns. I thought we were in the Cold War period, okay? When I've got SMGs that can hit me, even in the bigger maps, the combined arms maps, SMGs fucking sniping me and making my fucking gun move, especially if I'm using a sniper, it's fucking moving all over the fucking place because I'm getting hit by an SMG from across the fucking map, and I'm dying in a handful of shots. It's not like it's fucking half a clip. It's like 5 bullets and I'm dead, okay? And if it's a headshot, it's more likely less than that. It needs to be better balanced. Going further on, and this also goes for Modern Warfare in its fucking, Ground War mode? I love Ground War. I thought Ground War was a great addition. I think Combined Arm is a solid addition. The 12v12, but definitely the 32v32 is fantastic. However, it gets kind of spoiled when you've got these big maps and people are just picking each other off with fucking fully automatic weapons, shooting in just a straight fucking line pretty much. It's obnoxious. There needs to be, if you're not going to, and I don't think you should, I think the answer is having it to be where there's bullet drop-off, where not so much that it's the curvature like Battlefield, but more along the lines of less damage happens. And maybe that is what happens, but it's so hard to tell because everything's so pinpoint accurate. It doesn't take much for you to die. It just doesn't. And sometimes even the feedback is a little weird too, where it seems like you're only half dead, but really you're apparently only a bullet away from dying. So something's a little off with that as well. And then, of course, I cannot sit there and not talk about the balancing issues with this fucking game. There are some matches that are close, for sure. You know, it's the whole SBMM thing where they want you to have closer matches. But man, what the fuck is it where I'm like in match 8 or 9, I'm having some good matches, some solid matches. I'm a solid player with an average of about 1.3 to 1.5 KD in most FPS games, right? So I'm not fucking top tier. I'm not pro level MLG badass motherfucker. But why is it that I'm fighting against guys that fucking are? I'm not going through and getting like 4.0 KDs or something like that, and then they're fucking like, oh, well, we'll fucking take you down a peg. They're usually close matches, and then all of a sudden there's like a drop off, and now suddenly I'm fighting against fucking an entire team of MLG players that are just kicking my fucking teeth in. And the balancing in this game is fucked. And I don't know what is going on with the game, but between that and then the only other thing is even though I do generally like the map design, I hate the fucking spawn points. They're garbage. Look, Call of fucking Duty, I goddamn beg you, and I know that there's players that are going to push back on me for saying this, but for the love of fuck, there needs to be some kind of like respawn protection system, okay? Because if you're not going to fix your fucking spawn points, and this goes for all the studios, this isn't just for Treyarch, fucking Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer Games are just as fucking guilty for this bullshit. But the spawn points are trash, okay? And that's why there's so many lockdowns. And I know people like to think that that's tactical, but it's kind of fucking not, okay? It's not. Nonetheless, that's an argument for another day. The point being is if you're not going to fix the spawn points and you're not going to make it to where people aren't fucking killing you, where you're not spawn die, then what you need to do is have like a 2-second immunity, 3-second immunity, so that way somebody can spawn and look around for 2 seconds before they get fucking headshot from across the map from some fucking asshole, okay? And the fact that it's 2021 and that's still a problem, that was a problem years back. And people put up with it because, you know, there was a lot more depth and a lot more entertainment value and, you know, and it didn't happen as often. But now it happens quite frequently and it's fucking stupid. It's some of the worst that I've ever, and honestly, Black Ops Cold War isn't as bad as Modern Warfare. But that's also because the map design is so much better than in Modern Warfare. In Modern Warfare, the maps were too small. The spawn points were less, obviously there's only so much spaces you can spawn. Honestly, it's a big issue that I wish you guys would take a little more seriously. I know that like a lot of people have just gotten used to it, but it's trash. I'm sorry, why are you getting used to it? It's not good. There's a lot of other first-person shooters that have shown how you can do it, and yet Call of Duty says, fuck it, we're just gonna keep causing chaos. They wake up and they choose violence. That's what they choose, and you let them. So that's something that needs to improve if you really want multiplayer to take a legitimate leap forward. Modern Warfare tried to take that leap forward by having more realism and trying to have, and they got pushed back on, but really, they should have, I won't say doubled down, but they definitely should have like stood their ground a little bit more instead of making it so casual like they eventually wound up doing. So that leads us into the final mode, and that's zombies. Now, I'll admit, as of this recording, I haven't gotten a lot of hands-on time with zombies. I've seen a little bit, you know, I've watched some people play some, I've played a little bit. Honestly, I think it's fun. I'd like to dig more into it, but I'd honestly like to get a couple friends at some point to play more of it. It's solid. There is a second map coming. You know, we're going to keep getting free maps just like with multiplayer. You know, multiplayer's already added 5 new maps already, which is insane for the first season. And honestly, that helps because it really helped bring up the variety. And it brought back a couple of old school, you know, classic maps as well as introducing a new one I really, really liked. I didn't touch on Mall. I think it's one of the best maps Call of Duty's put out in a while. It's entertaining. It's really cool. It's got this great 80s vibe. I love it. I'm a 90s kid who has suddenly grown an appreciation for the 80s. There's a lot of things that I love about the 80s. Hell, one of my favorite shows, Stranger Things, is based on the 80s. and references a lot of 80s shit that was fucking great, okay? So, sue me. But Black Ops Cold War, the zombies is really good. They felt like they needed to, to kind of reboot zombies in a way. And it's got me at least interested. It's piqued my interest. Like I said, I've dabbled a little bit. I like what I've played so far. And, and there might be some issues here and there. I'll admit that. As like I said, I won't know because I haven't gone fully in depth. But the fact is the fact that they still put in heart and love into this mode, 10, 11 years after they originally introduced it. Actually, it's actually more like 12 years at this point with World at War as just an Easter egg. The fact that it's grown to be what it is, it's still pretty good. And like I said, they'll add more maps. So even if you don't like the base map, maybe they'll add something that you will wind up liking. The only thing that I ask, of the developers, and I hope that they're taking this mentality is, quality over quantity. I'd rather have 3 or 4 zombie maps, but they're actually quality and something that I actually want to come back to and visit, versus shitting out 6 to 8 of them, and most of them are trash, but like 1 or 2 of them, And I feel like with Treyarch, they usually try to do that, but I also know too that there's a lot of pressure from fans. Is every time you go to a forum or you go to a something that they post on Twitter or Facebook, man, there's like fucking just endless amounts of people being like, where's the zombie maps? But overall, I don't really have a ton more to say about Black Ops Cold War, other than the fact that I did enjoy my time with it. I think it's a good game, and honestly, I feel like it is a return to form from Treyarch. Bringing back the single-player mode and doing it in a good way. Bringing it back to your best one, Black Ops 2, giving you multiple choices and branching, storylines, and then, of course, the, multiple endings is fucking great. And the fact that the story is really entertaining, one of the last, like a second to last level, is like a dream sequence thing. And they've done this before. They've done similar things, these trippy experiences that are really fucking good, super memorable. It's one of the best levels Call of Duty's had in a long while. And I think they did a great job overall with it. I wouldn't mind seeing some more missions or maybe some more side quests. Obviously, I don't want them to sit there and stretch out the story. I'd rather them go ahead and tell the complete story that they want to tell rather than stretch it out. But it's got a quality story. There's a lot of replayability here. There's tons of secrets and things jammed in that you can find. And like I said, there's multiple ways to tackle, certain problems. Some of the game design, some of the level designs that they've had, and some of the levels that they had, especially the one with the KGB headquarters, was fucking amazing, honestly. There was like 3 or 4 ways to tackle like that first half of the mission. And, and you could kind of pick your own poison, and it was pretty fucking cool, and I wish they'd do more of that in the future with their Black Ops franchise. I like that. Whether it's choosing to kill somebody to get a key card, or maybe pickpocketing them, or maybe framing them, or just creating a new one. Like, this is great. This was great design, and it had some cool story things in there as well, and it just overall was really awesome. It soured a little bit because the second half of the mission was really just one giant gunfight to the end. But, it wasn't horrible. It's just, when you've got such smart design in the first half of the level, it's like, what was the point? When the second half, you just kill everybody anyways. It's just, it was kind of conflicting from time to time, but it still was really entertaining. I didn't hate it. It's just funny is all to me. And I'd like to see more of that kind of stuff, And so, but multiplayer, like I said, I just went on a rant for 5-6 minutes about what they could do to continue to improve that. Overall, I find myself enjoying the multiplayer far more than I did with Modern Warfare's, and the most I've enjoyed a Call of Duty multiplayer in fucking 8 years plus. So, kudos to you guys for that. Obviously, I think if you guys would have had more time, I feel like you guys would be able to implement more stuff and do more things. So, I give you a little bit of a pass for that, honestly, I do. Because I get that, you guys weren't planning, you guys were focused on Black Ops 4. I feel for you guys. You guys basically had 2 short schedules back to back. But you were able to pull something off that I feel like I said, is a lot of fun. And I feel like is, only a half step in the right direction, but still at least in the right direction. So, like I said, implementing some of those things that I mentioned. Bring back the diving. Why did we get rid of that? We got sliding, but we got rid of the diving. I realized that I was playing that I was like, I miss being able to fucking launch myself down the stairs like I did in Black Ops 2. I don't know why we got rid of that, but we should bring that back. That was pretty fucking cool. I'm just throwing that out there. And then, of course, zombies, but obviously still being a rock-solid mode. I think the zombies mode here is better than fucking Spec Ops was in Modern Warfare. I liked the idea of Spec Ops, but the execution was just porous. Whereas zombies is so much more fleshed out, and like I said, considering the time crunch, I felt like they did a pretty damn good job and mostly stuck the landing. And I wish I had more to say about that, but as I'm not a huge zombie diehard and I didn't get a chance to play as much of it, I can't be as critical there as I can the other two areas. So, and obviously if there's anything else people want to say, there's always the comment sections, and I can always either try to do some kind of a rebuttal. Overall, I feel like Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is, like I said, a return to form for Treyarch. I think they did a great job overall. And like I said, kudos to Raven Software, and kudos to all the other teams that helped bring this thing together and make it even possible in such a short amount of time. I think you guys all did a great job, and honestly, I want to give Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's definitely headed in the right direction. I feel like Call of Duty is finally kind of capturing itself again and finally kind of fleshing itself back out again after some very turbulent years. You know, like I said, Modern Warfare was a step in the right direction, but I feel like this one's an even bigger step in the right direction, and I'm excited to see what Treyarch continues to do. I think Treyarch is still a very talented studio. They've still got a very talented staff. And so I'll pretend like Black Ops 4 didn't happen. I know that they might not like hearing that, but I'll pretend like it didn't happen. And I'll kind of push Black Ops 3 out of my mind and just focus on the 3 Black Ops games that I think are really fucking good. And look forward to maybe seeing more Woods and Mason. Or if you guys do decide to go another route, I'll just throw this out here. Maybe go with Mason's son. It's just a thought. You've already kind of fleshed out his character anyways, and you could just continue fleshing him out more in a sequel. And bring in some new characters. It's just a thought. But anyways, that'll be it for me, guys. I gotta get off here so I can continue pushing through and getting these other videos up there. So I'll see you guys soon. What did you guys think of, Black Ops Cold War? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you not like about it? And what did you like about it? Let me know in any of the comment section below, and I'll see you guys on the next On The Shelf. Bye, guys.
I waited for the night to fall in love. It's how you really know I fucked it up. That just a little lie is all it was. It's all it was. Didn't think for a minute. My intentions were so obvious. What the hell I admitted? You're the first one of your kind, not just one in a million. So we turn the lights out, turn the lights out.